Dogs and videos are very similar. Both dogs and videos, right here, they appeal to our senses. But unlike dogs that can appeal to all 5 of our senses, videos can only appeal to 2. You can see a dog, you can smell a dog, you can hear a dog. She's itchy. Hold on 1 second. Oh, now she needs to clean herself real quick. Just hold on. How about Tom Brady winning 7 rings? And we're back. You can feel a dog, and you can even taste a dog. Both videos, we can only see and hear them. Although sometimes I feel like when I'm watching the Great British Baking Show that I can sometimes taste the shortbread biscuits that they have fresh out of the oven.
Perfect nuts.
But sometimes as video creators, we spend so much time obsessing over making our visuals look absolutely perfect that we tend to neglect and show tender love and care to the audio portion of our projects. If there are 2 senses that we can appeal to with video, audio makes up 50% of the experience of watching our videos, and we need to treat it that way. Always wonder what it'd be like to vlog on my C200 fully built. All right, now that we're in the studio, totally different vibe than before, let's do a deep dive into this real quick example of an expression piece that I created and posted like 2 days ago. Now this is the project if it was standing alone as just something that would appeal to your visual sense. Now this is the project appealing to both your visual and your audio senses. So much better. The audio is what's going to be the difference between your viewer watching from the waiting room in a doctor's office versus fully being immersed into your project. Now, I'm someone that spends like way too much time on audio. I want to make sure the audio is just right, perfect, to make sure that my project doesn't fall flat. Now what I'm gonna do is run you through that process of what I do to make sure that doesn't happen in my videos. There's really 3 layers of audio that you wanna be focusing on. The first and the most important is going to be your vocal tracks, and then it's going to be your musical background track, and then it's going to be your sound design elements. We all know the vocal segment of the audio is the most important. You wanna make sure that it's not clouded. I don't want the music, the background music of what's playing right now. So instead, what I want to do is focus more time talking about the musical background and the sound design aspects. The background music is going to be so important in declaring the mood of your project. The background track is going to subconsciously assist your viewer into feeling the way that you want that viewer to feel. So for this project Blue, it's a really short piece that's very personal to me. It's an expression piece, which isn't necessarily driven by story as much as it is driven emotionally. So because of that, the background music is even more so important. So before I shot anything, I went to find and research the best music track that I could to help, kind of give my visuals a certain direction. I always like to find the perfect music before I start shooting. That's just the process that I follow and I found has worked best for me. If you guys care if the mic's in the shot a little bit, I'd rather it just be clean audio as I look this direction than worry about the mic not being in it. So I don't think you care. Do you? So I usually use MusicBed. I just find that they have the highest quality production, especially when it comes to like the cinematic stuff that I personally love. So what I usually do is I go and search for songs by genre. I'll go cinematic, a little bit of ambient, and then mood that I want to focus on, probably something peaceful. Attribute-wise, probably something atmospheric, something beautiful. Then there's a bunch of options here that I just go through one by one, and it's something that I could see working for my piece. I add it to a playlist, and let's see, I made a playlist for this song. My projects, playlist, Blue, here we go. So here what you're seeing is all the songs that I listened to and I saw could be a potential fit for my project based on, a whole different bunch of things, whether it's the strings, the serenity, the build. I started building around Birds of a Feather Flock Together, and I ended up switching it to Lives Are Thread by Salman Lighthelm, who's another genius when it comes to cinematic music. Yeah, this one's nice. It had a nice build. It felt like very like peaceful and happy, and then it just gets like a little intense at times. So there it is. There's the final track that I ended up using, that Salman Lighthelm track, playing with my piece with no sound effects, no sound design underneath, just the background track, and just right away right there, it's beautiful. It fits the visuals perfectly. It helps drive those visuals to a place where I want my viewer to feel. What's crazy, it's so hot in this room. I don't have air conditioning in my office. So when I close the doors, I turn the fans out, I turn all these lights on, it gets so hot in here. I start sweating. I literally have an ice pack just on my back right now to cool me down. I wanted to switch it to the front, but I didn't want it to look awkward. But now the ice pack is in the front, so you know that I didn't just randomly put on some weight throughout the video. So now we have the music track in. Now this is a point where a lot of us will stop and be like, all right, music's in, check. Let's now just like totally focus on the visual, not even think about audio again. But the key ingredient to really hitting on that human sense of hearing is to make sure you're including sound design. It could be the sound of the ocean, it could be the sound of the car idling, it could be the sounds of these footsteps. These sounds could either be something that you recorded with the clip in that moment, like for example, these footsteps, or it could be something that you add in post-production to make it a more clearly sounding sound effect, to give it a little more oomph. For example, this wind, this whipping noise, the water, this is all fake sounds that I pulled off the internet. The ocean here. I've been able over time to build a library of sound effects that I've kept just from freesound.org, from YouTube, from Epidemic, all over. The more you shoot projects, the more you'll do sound design, and the more you do sound design is the more you'll collect all these different sounds, so that eventually you'll just have a really sweet library that you can pull from. So your sound design doesn't need to be super perfect. It doesn't need to be super complex. It could be one audio layer of just wind playing. Like for example, in this scene over here, it's just one layer of wind playing over top of this. And it feels great. It feels like that sounds actually what's there. Here, it's just one layer of a wave receding back into the ocean. I got so many compliments in the comment section of this video that I posted. Sick brag, Danny, getting all these compliments. But no, really, so many compliments about the sound design. And the sound design is so simple. Like I didn't even spend that much time on it for this particular project. If you don't know where to start, look at a scene, visually look at a scene. So let's just look at this scene of this hand in the water, super beautiful shot. What are the sounds that you're going to hear looking at that piece? Your ears are going to be flooded with water. It's going to be, you're constantly going from over top of the water to under top of the water. So when we're above the water, what I want to hear is, the sounds of light waves crashing. And then when we go underwater, what I want is that like underwater, like deep, like vocal, I don't even know how to describe it. So if we zoom in on the sound design that I did for this specific scene right here, this is all it is. Right here, just one line of alternating above water waves to underwater waves. This is without the audio track. It feels like it's real, but it's all just manufactured sounds that I didn't even spend a ton of time on. So what I did down here was just lay down a layer of water from above the surface. And then I would just, when the water would come above the frame, what I would do is grab these little underwater pieces and then just drop them in over top of that wavelength to smoothly transition that sound so it doesn't sound like it's just like cuts from one to the other. I went to the audio transitions tabs up here in effects and just dropped a constant power between those cuts, and that's all I did. And everyone was loving this specific sound design technique, so that's why I'm talking about this one. And it's so simple. It's just me imagining what it would sound like to be in that scene. Quick little tip. So for really like cinematic, majestic type projects like this one, what I do to the sound design is I actually add this layer of studio reverb to it. And then once studio reverb is over top, what I do is I go to edit it and I click Great Hall. And what Great Hall does is give it this reverb that kind of makes it feel a little more full and echo a little bit more. And it drags out and doesn't feel so sharp. Hopefully that was a good learning experience for you. Admittedly, sound isn't my favorite part of the project to both do in the creation and also talk about to you. There's way more fun things I'd rather be talking about, but thought this was important. I thought it would help you out a ton. And yeah, thanks as always for watching. I love you.